Good evening, Money Duck here. So in this video, I'm going to go over cleaning up the charts, getting ready for the trading week. You know, we trade during the week. We mark up our charts with trend lines, zones, support and resistance levels, whatever you're drawing on the chart. At the end of the week, it ends up being a mess. Also, you tend to lose sight of what happens on the larger time frames. So I like trading with the larger time frames in order to put the odds in my favor. Okay, the big boys are trading off higher time frames. That's where the market movers are trading. They're trading off of numbers. Okay, so we need to be aware of where the turning points are in the market, and those tend to be off the 4-hour chart or daily. So since we're trading on the 3-minute or 5-minute time frame to take trades, we will go out to a 4-hour, the 15-minute, 1 hour, and the 4 hour. We use those as our higher time frame charts. Now, one thing I like to do, of course, is zoom out to the 4-hour chart, not only on the Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to go over the charts, clean them up, do new markings or drawings on the charts, but also each day. So you should never come to the computer and just sit down to a 3-minute chart or a 5-minute chart. You always need to zoom out to a higher time frame just to refresh your memory and your mind of what is going on. Okay, so what I like to actually do when I'm done trading for the day, I like to set my chart back on a 4-hour. Okay, I don't trade off the 4-hour time frame, but I like to look at to find out where the turning points are in the market or where they possibly could be. We do some if-then analysis to find out, if this happens, what am I going to do? Well, if that happens, what am I going to do? Okay, that should be always something that you do before you actually get ready to pull the trigger and take a trade. So that's something you should do not only over the weekend, after you've rested and you're ready to come back in the market, but also every day. Basically, again, when I'm done trading for the day, I will set my chart on a 4-hour time frame and then walk away from the computer. That forces me, when I come back to the computer the next day or that evening, that I'm going to look at the 4-hour time frame. Why? Because it's in my face. I've left my charting there. Now, my computer stays running, 24 hours a day, all week long. Sometimes I'll shut it down on the weekend to give it a break. But typically, mine's always running. So I will set it, like I said, on the 4-hour time frame. Tonight, I'm just going to go over the 4-hour charts and address that. I'm trying to keep it so it's not a super long video. So I'm going to go through the futures market, some Forex pairs, and set up my charts for the week off the 4-hour. Something else I like to look at, and you need to look at, is look at the economic news releases, the economic calendar. Find out when news is coming out for the week. News releases move the market, not really the release, but the information that comes out and the trader's reaction to the release, the market maker's reaction to the release. Sometimes things will move before the news release comes out, before the numbers comes out. Other times it moves after. Sometimes it doesn't move at all. Sometimes it whips back and forth. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 minutes and then it'll bolt and run in one direction. Often, an instrument will move up or down so far, and then it'll come all the way back down within a half hour or an hour or 15 minutes back to where it started before the news. So you always need to know what's going to happen and when, and be ready for that. If you don't like getting caught up in that action during news releases, then by checking the calendar, when to stay out of the market. Okay, that, hey, I checked the calendar and 8:30 tomorrow, Monday, there's news coming out. I don't want to get involved in that. You come to the market at 9:30. If you don't like getting involved with the U.S. stock market open, then you're waiting until 10 or 10:30. You should know this ahead of time. This should be a no-brainer to set yourself up for success. You need to be aware of what's going on, okay? So we're going to go over some of that here in a little bit. Let me switch. Let me go over to here. So here's the Forex calendar. I use Forex Factory still. I started using it back in 2004. Yeah, 2004. is when I started using Forex Factory. So I still use their calendar. There's a bunch of them out there. There's other websites that have them. So right now you'll see it set on all news, okay? So it's set on all news. And again, in training, I go over how to select and set things up. So I'm just going to go through real briefly. There's a filter over here. I can click that filter. So right now I have all news that's coming out. I know on Monday everything that's coming out. I could see that 9:30 a.m. we have news for the Canadian dollar right here, okay? I could see that 9:45 we have news for, PMI for US dollar. We have manufacturing PMI right here, the ISM numbers. That comes out at 10 a.m. For the US dollar, okay? You can come down and scroll down. I'm trying to look for some of the others here. Actually, I don't have that set. Let me set this to all. Sorry, my glitch. There's all. So there's all news. I was looking particularly for some of this right here. 7:30 p.m. Australian dollar GDP. So I'm going to be where? At this 7:30 Australian dollar news, the Aussie. I'm going to be at my computer. I'm going to be ready to trade, okay? I'm going to be trading that. I'll be trading the Forex pair, the US dollar, Australian dollar pair. And then if I want to, I'll trade Australian dollar futures, okay, as well on TradingView. But I'm going to be at my computer at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday night, this Tuesday, okay? I already know that. Now, I like to try and get in things a little ahead of time. So I'm more than likely going to sit down probably around 6:37, somewhere in there. I don't like to come right at market open at 6 p.m. when things open back up, especially in the futures market. Now, Forex is a little different. In Spot Forex on my account, I'm trading through Forex.com. I'm trading around the clock, so it stays open. So I don't have to close my trades. The only time you want to consider closing trades is on Friday because the spreads will widen at the end of the week, and a lot of times your trades will close out anyway. So it just depends on how far your stops are. But I won't have to close out any Forex pairs. So if I'm trading the Australian dollar through my Forex broker, I'm already in it, then I'll just adjust my stops accordingly, okay? So that's something to consider with that. I'm looking at days where I'm going to be at the computer. When am I going to be at the computer? How long am I planning on being at the computer? So you want to take this calendar and look, and also, guess what? You can look ahead. I can sit here and go up to these weeks, and I could sit there and check next week or the week after, and you'll see the bar over here on the left change. Okay, what about around Christmas, the week of Christmas? Let's see what's going on. Okay, you can plan your days accordingly. All right, so this is our current week. Well, I can plan my days. Often I do this. When do I want doctor's appointments? Are there certain days that I'll go to doctor's appointments? Most of the time, my doctor's appointments I set up in the afternoon. However, some of the doctors, depending on what you're going in for, want you to come in the morning. Well, guess what? Before I consult with my wife to find out what's going on, I consult the calendar. I'll come in and look. What's going on Monday, December 1st in the morning? Is there anything for me to be aware of news-wise? Do I want to trade? Do I want to trade that momentum off the news? Okay, now, again, with the filter, this is everything that's going on all week. If I'm looking specifically U.S., I'm going to select none. This is typically me. I'm going to click U.S. dollar and Canadian dollar because I want to see when all the news comes out for both those. I will uncheck the yellow, the low level impact. There's low level, mid level, and high impact news. Silver's for holidays. Okay, and if you hover over, I think it'll tell you. It should tell you low impact expected, mid impact expected, or medium, and then high. So this is what I normally check. I'll put all the news. I want to know when everything's coming out. So I'll leave this to all here. I'm going to come in and specifically if I'm looking at mornings, I'm going to click the Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, because I'll trade both. And then I just want to uncheck the low level and click apply. Now it consolidates that. I took out all the low level news and now I can see clearly, look at Tuesday. Tuesday's wide open for me. Well, let's book our doctor's appointment on Tuesday. And again, you could look at weeks ahead. Let's click to next week. Oh, look. Well, there's nothing December 8th on Monday. Well, let's do my doctor appointments then. What about the next week? Well, Sunday, they're not doing anything. Oh, yeah, this week's out. So the week of December 14th through the 19th, guess what? I don't want to set doctor's appointments up. I'm going to look through. There's a lot of news coming out every day at 8:30 in the morning. So guess when I'm not going to any doctor's appointments? This week here. Let's look at the next week. Well, there you go with a Monday again. Monday, December 22nd. Well, let me book any doctor's appointment then. Okay? So this is what I do. I will typically, like I said, consult my calendar. I can plan my week. Where am I going to be? When am I going to be there? Okay, I want news in my favor. We have 8:15 non-farm on Wednesday. Okay, this comes out before the employment change and the unemployment numbers. So on Wednesday, I know I need to at least be at the computer at 8 o'clock. Okay, to kind of get set up for the news for U.S. dollar. And then I know there might be another surge here at 10 a.m. Okay, but I know I want to trade Wednesday. I want to trade on through at least noon, 11 o'clock noon, which is typical for me. Okay, because I know when news is coming out. Okay, so this is something you should always consult. Let's go to evening. So evening session. I just kind of wanted to cover this week. So in the evening, you guys know I like trading the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. Most of all, the Australian dollar in the evening. I will sometimes trade the Japanese yen and also the Kiwi or New Zealand dollar. But typically for me, it's the Australian dollar that move, because I just know how it moves. I know how all three move, but I like the way the Australian dollar moves overall, and typically we get better moves out of it. So that's what I go with. Okay, again, I want to put the odds in my favor. So come back up here and click none. It takes away all currency pairs. I'm going to click New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and the Australian dollar. Okay, and then hit apply filter. Now I see how my evenings are going to go. Can you not plan around that? Well, I most definitely can. Okay, I can see when my high impact news comes out. Tonight, Japanese yen, okay? We have some news. Tuesday, we have high-level news on the Australian dollar at 7:30. Guess where I will be Tuesday night? I will be back here in my office on Tuesday night to trade this, okay? New Zealand dollar, 4:10 p.m. I might watch that, but I'm not excited about this one, okay? I'm not excited about that. So basically, in the evenings, Tuesday night is out for me. I will mark that on my calendar. Why do I do that? Well, when my wife asks me, hey, do you have any plans next week? Want to get together with so-and-so, or want to go Christmas shopping, or I can say, every night's good, but Tuesday. I don't want to book anything on Tuesday. I need to be at the computer. Okay. She knows we can book stuff Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's look ahead the week before. I'm planning my whole month. This is how I do it, guys. My whole month. Well, the week after that, December 7th through the 12th, I don't want to do anything Monday night. There's news. Or could I? Well, look. News on the Australian dollar doesn't come out till 10:30 p.m. Guess what? I'm good, but I want to be home about 9:30 at the latest. 10 max, but I'd like to be home at 9:30. Trying to look for an entry before cash rate comes out. Okay? Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Well, let's not book anything. Okay? That's the employment numbers, unemployment rate, for the Australian dollar, 7:30 Wednesday. I'm always going to catch the employment and unemployment numbers of every currency, okay? Because you'll see movement. If you're not sure how things move, you want to know, click here on the side, and you can see when the last news releases come out. Again, I cover all this is covered in more in-depth training, but you'll see the dates. November 12th, 2025, I see the numbers. October 15th, 2025. September 17th, August 13th, July 16th. Guess what you can do? Go back in your charting and see what happened. Go back in your charting, and what I like to do is don't just go back at this time, 7:30 p.m. Go back and look at like an hour ahead of time, 6:30 or even 6. Go look an hour at least before the news time, an hour before that, which would be 6:30, and then check 2 hours later. So we want to look at that time span, 6:30, and then 2 hours later be 9:30. So from 6:30 to 9:30, what happened? What was the movement before the news release? What was the movement after the news release? Okay. How did it move on those days? All of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take screenshots and file them up in your folders. And I go more in depth on the folders. You should have folders on every news release and know what happened. But look, Thursday, Friday, I'm good. So basically, on the week of December 7th through 13th, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we can book anything out there. Okay? And then Monday, I need to be home by 9:30, 10. Look at the next week. Look at that. Monday, Tuesday, I'm good. Okay? Wednesday, that's at 4:45. So yes, I can book something at 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 for us to do in the evening. Not sure that was Wednesday. Thursday, don't know when those are coming out. Doesn't know when that's Friday coming out. So it will move the market, but we just don't know what time things are happening. Let's look at the next day. Well, we've only got mid-level news. That's the week of Christmas. The evenings. Guess what? I'm not going to trade the evenings. That's a decision I'm making right now. Right here while we were recording. On the week of Christmas, I will more than likely not trade at all. Especially the Aussie, Kiwi, Yen. Just stay out of the market in the evening. I'll trade during the day. And then we can look after Christmas. Well, look, everybody's on bank holiday. So guess what I'm not doing between Christmas and New Year's? Trading in the evening. So there's a good chance that the last 2 weeks of the year, okay, this week here and the week before, there's a good chance that those last 2 weeks, you may not see me trade at all in the evenings, okay? So that's how we handle news to prep us ahead of time. Let me minimize this. All right, so now we're going to get into charting. So with charting again, and you'll see I don't have anything marked on here. I took a break, had some things going on, and I couldn't get down here to the office. I had to stay away from basically trading. I traded Forex spot through my Forex broker on my phone. But basically what happened was I had surgery. So I haven't been trading through TradingView for a while. So my charting, you'll notice I don't have anything on the chart here recently in this area. Okay. So one thing I want to do is, and this again should be either Friday when the market closes. You can start as early as Friday when the market closes. Okay. You don't have to wait for Sunday for it to open. So as soon as Friday the market closes, delete everything off the chart and that you don't want and leave anything on that you need. Okay. Again, we start at the 4-hour time frame and we're going to draw some zones and we're going to draw some support resistance levels, and you may want to draw some trend lines. Okay. And again, we're going to wipe the charts here and we're going to start from scratch on a few. I don't know how many I'll go through because I'm trying to keep this at an hour and I'm already at 35 minutes, I believe. So I'm going to go through and do that. And basically, again, you will do that also, come out to the 4-hour time frame, refresh anything you need to through the week as well. And a good time to do that, if you're at the computer all day, and I don't recommend that. I recommend, trading from 8 in the morning or 7 in the morning to about noon, 11 o'clock. Stop taking trades. You can trade in the afternoon if you want. But when the market closes, if you're trading through futures, your NASDAQ, any of that, and you're trading through a futures broker, then you're shut down for an hour in the afternoon. So that's a good time to dial out to the 4-hour time frame and freshen your charts, freshen your view on what's happening, okay? So basically, I want to come into each chart, and I want to delete everything off of there. No indicators are showing. I'm not going to turn my indicators on. I'm have all of them shut off right now or out of view, just because I want a clean vision of my highs and lows. I want a clean vision of where the turning points are in the market, where are the money makers going with pricing, okay? Right now over here, I can see that, we've had a surge up. We had a surge up here, and it hit this inside bottom right here, this dip. We have a surge up here. So this is before the market opens. So when the market opens tonight, we have to see where gold's going to open. There typically will be a gap over the... Okay, so again, we want to clean the charts and start over. I really am not concerned with what's down here. Okay? I really don't care about all this. This is the past. This is way down here. I don't really need to be concerned with these levels unless price starts dropping. And you have to remember that the more stuff that's on your chart that you leave, typically the more resources that hogs up, okay, with your computer. Now, I've got a gaming PC, and I've also got fiber optic connection. So we have very good internet here. So I really don't have to worry about that. But before we got fiber optic, I did, because TradingView uses a lot of resources. And again, the more stuff you keep on your chart, the more resources that are tied up with your computer. So what I want to do, again, I don't really have to be concerned with any of this stuff down here. That's in the past. The only time I need to be concerned with these levels that are marked here is when price starts dropping. Okay? Well, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to focus in this area up here. That's it. That's all I'm focusing on right now. That's all I'm concerned with. Now, that being said, you could draw an uptrend line across here if you want, and we will look at that. So first off, I want to come in and come down delete. We're not deleting indicators. We're going to remove the 42 drawings. We're going to take them off. Let's start with the clean chart. If I want to go on back, I can. Again, I can go back. We know it's been going up. All right, gold's just been going up and up. So you have to decide how far back do you want to go. You can also go to a daily chart and start from there. And then, of course, go with your trend line. So, again, it depends on you how far you want to go back, what you want to draw. But I can see that, let me turn my magnet on. And these lines will move. So if you come in here and attach to one of these wicks down here and come in, say, here and attach the line, what you have to remember is that when you change the time frame and you go down to a smaller time frame chart, these may not be attached to that same candle, okay? So you might have to adjust them. So when you're drawing any lines like that, again, when you go down to a smaller time frame, you may have to adjust the line. But this would be our uptrend line, okay? So that would be an uptrend line. You can mark it if you want. This isn't going to be visible on my chart, but I'll just go ahead and mark it. So you can draw that as an uptrend line, and that is going to be our outermost trend line. Now, again, I'm really just concerned with price in this area. These highs up here, these lows down here, I can see them hit multiple times. All right, so let's zoom in on that. That's it right there. This is where I'm concerned with. Why? because this is where price is right now. Look at these highs. We have a double top here, okay? That is a definite area where price has turned and it's never been there before. All right? Never been there before. So let's open that back up. Put it in the middle, open it up. So again, double top right here, price has turned there. If price breaks, if right now, if we open up Sunday and price starts going up, okay, because right now it's testing this high, which is also this low area here between the double top. So if it breaks the high side, where do we think it might go? I think it might go back up here, right? I think if it breaks to the high side, it might go back up to around this price. So we're looking at what's going on, and we're doing a little if-then scenario. If it breaks, okay, and I haven't even drawn anything yet. If it does break this high, right now it's a little above it. So if market opens above this area, what am I going to do tonight? So we got about, what do we got? About 28 minutes before the market opens. So what am I going to do? I need to prepare myself. What am I going to do if gold breaks up above that? And if it stays up above that and it's moving up, well, guess what? I'm going to trade long to where? Where's my target? Okay, well, my target better be these two highs. That's where my target is. Okay? Now, do I have a target above that? No, I don't, because price hasn't been up this high. Okay? Hasn't been above this level. So we don't have a target above that. Look at the huge move up over here. Gold's been up and up and up and up and up. The market makers said that's high enough. The market shows us the prices that they're willing to go to, the buyers and the sellers, the market movers, the banks, the big banks, the companies, the corporations, the governments, okay? The market movers show us what's going to happen, or what more than likely will happen when price gets to this level. Price is more than likely going to turn around and drop back, have a retracement. And if you want to notice something, look how quickly the drops are. Look at both sides. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 candles to climb, 3 candles to drop. Okay? Several candles in here to climb back up, and quickly drops. Okay? Quick drop. So we see the rise, and then we see a quick drop back. So I'm going to say another if-then statement. Okay, if price climbs back up to this level, then will it quickly drop? We don't know for sure. There's not a 100% guarantee. Okay? But I want to be prepared for that. That's part of your if-then scenario. If price climbs back up to this point, okay, is it going to drop quickly? Well, I don't know. But I want to be prepared for that because I don't want to miss out on that quick move down. Love a quick move down. Don't we all love a quick move up? If you get into a trade and it quickly moves up, if you get in long, it quickly moves up. Don't you love that? Versus it taking its time? Sure you do. Same with a down move. It hits a level, turns around, shoots down. I'm all in, right? We love a quick move down. So again, I'm preparing myself. This is just gold. We can do this on any instrument. This is what you need to do. Okay, so let's get in and draw some support and resistance levels, some boxes. So first I'm going to come up to these highs, and I want to pick the highest point, which is this wick right here, and I'm going to start my box, okay? And I want to come over here to the candle body, okay? So again, I'm using this wick high. I'm picking my highest wick, which is on this green candle. That's my highest wick in there. And then I came back to pick this body of this candle. Now, they're so close, I could take the body of these two candles right here, and I could actually come in and just mark that if I want. It's your choice. Again, this is your charting. This is your choice. I'm going to go back over here just because I want the charting to remind me there's a double top there. As I go back and have it down on a 3-minute or time frame, if I peek back, I want to know. We're going to leave that red because if price gets up to that level, we might want to short it. Okay, or we're going to look for a turn. We're going to look for shorts. Something you could do now that we couldn't do before, they just added this on the 24th of this month, is now you can set alarms on your boxes. Wonderful idea. So everybody had to ask for this. Finally got around it because we used to take our boxes and you used to have to come in with a horizontal line or a ray line down here and pull it up and put it on the bottom of the box and put an alarm. We no longer have to do that. Click on the box, click on the alarm, and then what you can do is we want to know when price does what. And there's different settings on this. So we want to know when price enters the rectangle, exits the rectangle, or inside the rectangle, or outside the rectangle. I don't want to know when price is outside the rectangle because it's outside the rectangle right now. I will get an alert. Okay? So you can either have it when it's inside the rectangle, which means when it goes up and enters, or right here where it enters the rectangle. I want one alarm, only once, okay? And you can put per bar close if you want. So per bar close is if a bar closes in, passes through and closes above the rectangle, the bottom of the rectangle, then let me know. I'm just going to keep it at only once here. What that's going to do, that's going to give me an alert when price goes up and hits, and crosses the bottom of the box. So let's set that alarm on it. And now you'll see a little alarm signal come up. You can lock your boxes if you want. You don't have to. But by locking the boxes, if you accidentally delete stuff, they will not come off. So we have our high. That should be our highest high for a while. Okay? That's what we're marking. Now let's mark our low. So we have a trend line way down here. We also have lows down here we're going to use or can use that I just deleted lines off of. I'm particularly looking in here, okay, in this area. And I see a wick low and a body of a candle here. So let's just draw a box off that and see what it looks like. We're going to do it from the bottom to the body. Now I'm going to turn this green. This is how I do my lower boxes. All right, and that's going to be my lower zone. I have a upper, mid, and a lower zone. I also have a lower time frame zone, which is gray. That's if I'm drawing them on a 15-minute, 1-hour time frame, one of the two. And then I have a range trading zone. The range trade zone is something that if it's bouncing back and forth in between, I'm going to trade it. So we're going to go with the lower zone here. It's going to be green. So those are my main price levels that I'm concerned with right now. Now, what should I be concerned with this week? Well, let's draw those two zones, okay? Now, I need to look for some mid price levels. Now, it's up to you how you want to do the mid price levels. You can do them as regular support and resistance levels, a single horizontal line or ray, or you can sit there and draw the boxes and draw, in my case, it would be yellow. Anything in between, I want yellow. The reason why, let's say I had a yellow zone through here one day, next week, and I'm trading, and price gets up to that zone, and I'm on a 3-minute time frame watching it. So I'm on a 3-minute time frame. This price is cruising on up, and all of a sudden I see a yellow box come up. Well, guess what? I'm going to know that's not the highest price it can go to this week. Okay? Where's my highest price it can go to this week? Right back here. That's the highest price that it could go to this week. And then if it goes through there, we have nothing. We have no price targets. Okay? So this is our price target. This is where the market makers, okay, the money movers, whatever you want to call them, the big boys, that's where they've deemed that that's enough. That's high enough right now. Okay? Now, does that mean it's high enough forever? No. We've seen price just keep going and going and going. I remember back in 2010 and 11 when price was hitting $1,000 on gold because I was out buying it. We were wondering if price was going to hit 1,000 when it was at 900. Then we're wondering, is it going to go over 1,000? Okay? And look at the price we're at right now. We're over 4,000. Okay? Again, that was in 2010, so it's been a while. But it's been up and up and up. So we're looking at mid-levels. What I want to look at now is here's where price is right now before market opens. Well, I see this high back here. I see this low back here. So let's zoom the charting out a little more. I want to look at these two areas. I want to look right here because as price climbed here, it turned. It wicked up a little bit. So wicking, a wick on a candle is basically, you'll hear people refer to it as an indecision point in the market, a time of indecision during the 4-hour candle. Okay, it was an indecision time, basically when price was pushed up and pushed back down. That's how I was taught it. That's how you hear people refer to that, indecision in the market. Okay, so basically, it was decision. It was decision that buyers are pushing it up, sellers are pushing it back down, or profit taking. You'll hear people say buyers and sellers, buyers and sellers, buyers and sellers. It's all the buy. They'll say this move right here was all the sellers pushing everything down, and then the buyers coming back in. Okay? It's not. It's not just the buyers pushing price down and the sellers pushing it back up. Is it not also, okay, profit taking? The sellers came in here, right? People say sellers came in, they pushed it down, buyers pushed it up. Okay, well, sellers came in here and it dropped down and they took profit. Okay, which is basically their buy orders to cancel out their sell orders. So again, you have to look at profit taking. It's also that as well. Again, sellers stepped in the market here. There's some people that are all bullish. That's all they would do is trade it down. And there's some people that are always bullish. I'm both. I'm bullish or bearish. You hear me say I'm whatever-ish. I don't care because I'm on a 3-minute time frame. So I'm bullish, bearish, whatever-ish. I don't really care. I can be bullish for the day. I can be bearish for the day. I can be bullish for an hour and then bearish for an hour. I can be bullish for 15 minutes and then bearish for an hour. I'm going to do what the market tells me it wants to do. I'm going to hop on the train and trade accordingly. So again, we're looking at that high. Let's draw a box from this wick high to the candle body. And we're going to make that yellow. That's going to be a mid zone. Okay. And if you don't want, when you go do your zones, you could put mid zone. And if I don't want to see it on a daily chart, you can always click off the days. So you can go ahead and do that ahead of time. Click these off, save them as a template. So that's going to be our 4-hour zone. Now what I want to do is see if I pull that back. Say I pull it back off this wick. Is there body in here? And I can kind of see from the price point line that I could see the body in here. So I'm going to go ahead and drag the top back here, okay, to that body. And then what I might want to do is incorporate this low back here. If I can get to it. That's a pretty wide zone. I don't like my zones being that wide. Plus in here, we definitely had candle bodies pull up through that price. So I'm going to choose to leave that right there at that wick. Okay. So we're at a possible turning point. And guys, it depends on you how you draw your zones. But ultimately, this right here is what you want to be concerned with, because this is where we are right now. So we're a little above it, and I can't say that it is going to stay above it or not. We're having to prepare ahead of time. And did I not click the be adjust on? That's going to mess up my boxes. So I'm going to click that back off. I'll have to change that and redo them now, because I'm going to click those back on. So right now, what is price going to do? Okay, it's in a definite push up. We could draw a small trade line or trend line on that if you want. And again, you're going to pick a low and another low and draw an up trade line or trend line like that. Since it's on a 4-hour time, I'm calling them up trend lines. On a 4-hour time frame, they're going to be trend lines, up or down. Anything smaller than that, they're typically called trade lines, is what I call. The trade lines are there on my 3-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame, just to take the trades and move my stops along the way, and then they come off the chart at the end of the day. Okay, so again, we're looking at what may happen. Price could turn tonight as market opens, okay? But ultimately, these should be your targets. Now, I'm going to do something with this down here, okay? We have our zone way down here, and it's not going to go straight down to that level, okay? You're not going to see it move all the way down here to this green zone and come all the way down here and hit this area without it pulling back up. Okay, we have a lot of support and resistance levels in here. So I'm going to look at 3 different areas. 1, we're looking at these lows in here. 2, we're looking at the highs in here. 3, we're looking at the lows in here. I need to look at those 3 specific areas first. This is what I'm looking at first. And then we're going to come in and look at these highs, which is also this high back here, this high in here. You know, market stopped in there, market dipped right here. We need to look at those price levels. So this is what you're looking at. Again, we're not even looking down at a 3-minute or 5-minute to trade. This should all be done way before, okay? Way before your week starts. So again, I'm looking at these low dips, which is these highs in here, low dips down here. Then we have a high here, high here. We have a high here. We have a high here. We have a low here. We have a high here. Well, let's look at those areas. Should we mark them as support and resistance? Yes, you can. Yes, you should. So I like using the ray line. I don't know why. I used to always use this support and resistance line, and that's fine. So let's go ahead and look at that. Let's look at this right here. I'm looking at these highs. Well, we have a high right here. I'm looking at candle bodies, candle body, candle body, candle body, or close, wicks, wicks, wick down, wick down, wick down. We can use that as a level. And again, you have to decide, this is something that it's not set in stone. Whether you use a line here or a zone, that's up to you. The market doesn't always turn at exactly the same price. So you may want to use a zone instead. Look at all the times where we had a wick go down to the line. Wick down, wick, 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 wick. Okay? Where during a 4-hour time frame, price pushed to that line. Okay? If I'm down on a 3-minute time frame, guess what? You're going to see candles come down to the line. 3-minute time frame, you're going to see candles. More than likely, you're going to see candles come down to that line. Okay? So during a 3-minute time frame, this might not be the turning point. You'll see 3 minutes come down. It's going to turn somewhere in there. I could see drawing a zone there. Look at this dip right here. Do we want to know where price may turn and not go to the line? Okay? That would be here. Price came down, turned. On a 3-minute time frame, you're going to see candles come down, turn, go back up, several candles, making up those 4-hour candles on a 3-minute or 5-minute time frame. So, do we want to be aware of that particular price right there? Okay? So when you look at that, that's why a lot of times I'm coming in and I'm taking my zones, and I want to be aware of that wicked area. So I'm going to come in to something like this. I'm going to look at a low where price actually candle stopped and turned, but also highs up here where price came up and turned. The bodies of the 4-hour candles turn, even though price went up for a little bit, because I want to know next time it shoots up into this zone, is there a possibility of it turning? So anytime we have a zone is, hey, if it's in that zone, you might want to wait and trade it till it pops out. Now over here, it looks messy on that. So again, it's up to you if you're going to use zones or if you're going to use lines. Now, a lot of times I like to do rays, and I like to pull it here and pull it back. So I know where I'm starting a ray. Okay? So if I use a ray, I know where I've started it if I pull it back. But again, you can kind of use them interchangeably. You can also come in, like I said, with support and resistance lines. So I'm going to drop one here on these candle tops. Okay? Where the close of the candles, the opening and closings are. You can move them around after you drop them. Kind of on this one, I'm okay with this one right here. What I'm looking at on this one here in particular is we had this climb up here. Okay, it tapped, it came back down, so turning point. And then I'm looking over here. And I love what it's done here where price pushed through it. Okay, this green candle pushed up through it, came back down to test it, and it held up during another 4-hour candle. That candle came up, and then it almost held up on this red candle. Kind of peeked through, but then it's closed by it. So you'll see that again, once it dropped here, it went up to test it again. 2 candles down, test it again. So I really like where this line is right here. Okay, it did the same over here. So the same thing it did back here, past performance, giving us future results. Okay, same thing, past performance over here. Did it again right here, where it pushed up through, tested it. It kind of held up here as resistance. So that line, I really like where that line is. Come in and mark it. I don't know if these are set up because, again, typically I use the ray tool. So that's a 4-hour support and resistance level. And we're going to leave it. We're going to move that to the right side. I like my text to be to the right side because as I'm down on 3-minute time frame, I want those to come up. So we definitely want to be aware of that level. If you click on a line and hold your control key down, you can drag another down. So I'm particularly looking at this low right here. It's a mess back here as it didn't really respect that level. Okay. For some reason, as it fell, price really was respected here and it pulled back off of it. And then we have it dropped here. So I want to really draw a zone here is what I'm going to do. I'm kind of ignoring back here because it was messy. I know that price here kind of wicked down to that level. And I see that if I draw a box from this low right here, this wick low, up to this body, if I make that a mid box, I can see to the left from this high right here, or this low right here, if I look to the left, that's where the wicks are. Okay, that's where price came down and went down to it. So I would rather draw a box in here. This is me just kind of going through, and this is what I do. Again, on the weekend, you can do it Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I waited till Sunday this weekend. It's holiday weekend. We had shopping to do, Christmas tree to put up, all that. So I'm going to put a zone like that. That's going to be my mid zone. So again, when I clean the chart off, I will start with the upper zone and make it red. I'll start with the lower zone or vice versa and make it green. So I'll come in, might do the lower first, green, upper red, and then I'll change over and draw a mid zone. The reason why is because now every time I pull my box tool up, guess what? It's going to do a yellow box. And that's where we're going to have the most of them. So again, you're going to do lines and boxes. These are the primary areas or key levels of price that you want to be aware of as the market moves. I think I'm just going to do gold here on the video because we're coming up on an hour. Market's going to open